Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Fiber Broadband Association webinar. I'm David Norris, the webinar producer here at FBA, and we appreciate you taking time to join today. So today's webinar is brought to us by Telecon, and it is Fiber Design Services, the first step to getting everything right. So we're joined today by Mickey Thibodeau, who is the Senior Director of Design at Telecon. And we are also joined by Jeff Houston, who is the Senior Vice President and Head of US Sales at Telecon. So welcome, gentlemen. We appreciate you joining us today, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Before we do jump in, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping items to go through. First of all, as attendees, you are in listen-only mode today. However, we do want to hear from you. We will have time for questions near the end of today's presentation. To ask your questions, you can type them into the Ask a Question tool, which should be located in the lower left-hand side of your screen. We also have a number of resources available to you, a number of documents, videos, and other links to more information from Telecon. If you want to access those are in the resources tool, which is in the upper right-hand side of the screen there. And just so you know, those resources will also be included in a follow-up email, so you'll be able to take those links with you once we send that follow-up email. Finally, we do have a post-webinar survey that we'd love for you to fill out. If you can take a moment to do so, it's really helpful for us, and we appreciate you sharing your feedback with us. And this will also be available on demand. We'll usually have that up there within 24 to 48 hours. That'll be on our website, and there'll also be a link in the follow-up email if you wish to share this with your colleagues. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Jeff to kick things off and get us started here. So Jeff, take it away.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I want to start by thanking the Fiber Broadband Association for the opportunity to be part of this webinar. It's a privilege to contribute to the conversation around scalable, high-quality fiber deployment. We're especially excited to engage further at the Fiber Connect 2025 next week in Nashville. We're looking forward to seeing you there. I'll note that Telecon is the proud sponsor of the daily breakfast sessions, and we invite you all to stop by booth 301 to meet our team and continue this conversation. As David mentioned, I'm Jeff Houston. I'll be opening the session today before handing things off to my colleague, Mickey Thibodeau, for the primary content. We've shaped the presentation today for a technically informed audience. Engineers, project managers, network designers. And our goal is to highlight and share some of the best practices, the real world lessons, the practical workflows that support efficient and scalable fiber design programs. We'll begin with a high-level look at our capabilities. You got to squeeze in an advertisement here since we're presenting, but then we'll move on with the content, exploring our survey, permitting, data integration, KPIs and tools, and all the things that go into streamlining design, reducing delays from office to the field. Before we begin, and as I mentioned, here's a little background about Mickey and myself, as well as Telecon. I started my career in the industry in the Western US, working on OSP engineering and construction in a wide range of environments. Whereas my colleague Mickey, he began in New England, where he led complex permitting and fiber deployments in a much more dense and highly regulated environment. Over the years, we worked together and supported full lifecycle projects across the US and Canada, ranging from rural broadband and government-funded programs to urban overbuilds and private network expansions. Telecon itself is a telecommunications infrastructure provider operating across North America, and we deliver turnkey solutions from design and survey to construction and connectivity. And on the next slide, we'll focus on two of the core services that lay the foundation for every successful build: design engineering and locate services. Our design and locate teams play a central role in deployment success. And on the design side, we build fully integrated plans using tools like GIS and CAD and Esri and Vetro and all the platforms and including permitting platforms. We're not just creating drawings, but we're developing permit-ready, field-validated, and deliverables that are tailored to each build environment. Our locate services support this, ensuring that existing infrastructure is protected. We provide both public, dedicated, and private locates, which is increasingly important in these congested corridors where utility maps alone aren't enough. Together, these services reduce risk, speed up approvals, and support smoother handoffs to construction. In addition to design and locate, we also provide two additional core service pillars: infrastructure construction and connectivity services. Our infrastructure construction teams handle everything from directional drilling and aerial pole line work, fiber placement, and splicing, while our connectivity group specializes in the internal structured cabling, in-building wiring, data centers, OLT and hub installations, everything that is involved in completing the last mile to homes, MDUs, and businesses. What sets Telecon apart is that we bring all these four services together: design, locate, build, and connect, all together under one roof. And this means fewer handoffs, faster deployments, consistent accountability across the project lifecycle. And that's what makes our design build model effective. Telecon operates at North America scale, but with local precision. We've been building telecom networks for 50 years, with deep roots in Canada and growing reach across the United States. Our teams are currently active in all regions: the Northeast, Midwest, Southwest, and Pacific Northwest, supporting FTTH rollouts, middle mile expansion, MDU deployments, and others. With thousands of in-house engineers, designers, field crews, project managers, we're able to quickly mobilize and adapt to regional needs, including permitting timelines, construction methodologies, and any project scale. The national footprint combined with this local execution allows us to support large, even multi-state clients while keeping projects on schedule and within budget. So let's step back. What exactly do we mean when we talk about design? For us, design includes the full spectrum, from initial route layouts to survey validation and detailed engineering plans and permit packages. It also means technical GIS-based mapping, field-informed buildable drawings, utility coordination, and everything needed for construction readiness. This isn't about drafting or other simple exercises. It's about build-focused, compliance-driven processes that set the pace for the rest of the project. With that, I'll now hand it over to Mickey Thibodeau, who will walk through the content of our presentation, specific tools, workflows, and performance metrics that we use to deliver high-quality design across North America. Mickey, take it away.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And in this webinar, we're going to be talking about fiber design services and the first step to getting everything right. And our methodology rests on 4 pillars: design, survey, permitting, and delivery. To drive performance, we track 3 core KPIs. Our first pass approval rate, we're aiming for at least 90% of our designs to be approved without revisions. And our average turnaround time, from the survey data validation to the final design plans, we're aiming to be under 5 business days. In revision rates, we're aiming for a 98% success rate with first submissions. So there's 3 phases to fiber to the home design service: survey, design, and permitting. And each of these phases are directly connected to your project management delivery milestones. So some examples here of some project management platforms: there's Vitruvi, Fulcrum, Site Tracker, OneVision, just to name a few. And it starts with the survey, and the accurate survey is the foundation. So we'll use tools like LiDAR, or Catapult, Bluebeam, maybe Field Map, and our accuracy is within 1 inch. So some of the key data points we gather, things like pole height, span length, street fixtures, pole numbers, there's a whole bunch of things to gather here. Design has a couple phases. You have your high level design and your low level design. I'll get into a little bit more details about the differences later. And permitting is the third phase, and beware, this can be a black hole. But with proper planning, you can identify some major roadblocks that'll save you later. And notice here, I've got QC sort of inserted in between each phase. It's an important part of the process. This will ensure minimal reworks from errors. You'll stay on track with your delivery forecast. Remember, reworks are unbillable hours that can cause margin drop. So keep these concerns under control by investing in a good quality QC program. And for high level design here, this is your design that's intended to establish the paths for your preliminary F1, your F2 routes, your addresses, your cabinet locations, all within your project area. The high level design confirms the project budget based on a qualified BOM and construction labor costs. Also, please take note here. You should be starting your permitting as part of the high level design process and identify and address long lead permits. Things like railroads, bridges, waterways. These things can take 6 months or more. At that point, you already know your routes, you know the poles you need to submit permitting for. This can save you several weeks compared to waiting for your low level design. In your low level design phase, you've gone through the whole entire design process. Maybe there was some slight changes that have been made to the routes, or maybe there's been revisions on the number of passings or things like that. But at this point, you have your final design plans, and these can be handed off to construction. Notice here all the tools I'm inserting into each phase. We have automation tools, software tools, extraction, export tools. Applying automation is how you build efficiency. These tools will allow faster delivery to your customer and reduce human error. So these are assets you want to leverage to maintain schedules and accuracy. So this is just a high-level overview of the three phases, but now let's dive into each phase with a little bit more detail. I'll start with site surveys here. When you're starting a fiber to the home project, it starts with an idea from the customer. It's usually a community, a boundary area. Sometimes all you get is an address list. But proper project planning is important at this stage. They know what they want done, but it's your job to take that info and create a project that will fit into their ROI. So it starts with a survey, and get this part right, because this is the foundation of all your steps moving forward. So we'll send 2-person crews out to the area. They'll verify the aerial, the underground routes. They'll collect pole data, confirm the underground construction running lines. And if required, we'll calibrate the data to determine proper attachment heights. We'll run probably about 200 poles per day for each crew. And we have several 2-person crews deployed all over the US to all the working sites. And they'll run 6 days a week, sun up to sundown. So here's a good tip here. If you're using a real-time data source, Catapult or Esri, for example, assign an in-house office QC team to review that data immediately. Because our best practice is we'll QC the data from the field in real time, and we'll use automation tools that we've developed here. But you can provide feedback instantly if there's any changes or corrections required. And this will save you time on schedule, so you don't have to send them back to the job area after they've already left to go fix an error or something missed. So once your survey data collection's done and completed, thoroughly QC'd, now you're ready for the design phase. In this example here, we're using Catapult data as our data collection tool. But whatever you're using, more than likely, you're going to need a data conversion. So from the source data, you can output as a KMZ, shapefile, whatever works best, and start preparing your data for your high-level design. The high-level design phase is critical for meeting timelines, budgets, avoiding penalties that come with delayed implementation. For example, your customer could lose grant money because they're on a tight deadline. So you'll want to speed this process up with some automation. There's several automation high-level design tools out there that can speed up your preliminary designs. Things like ComSoft, Vetro, Setix, there's a bunch of them out there. So automated FTTH design tools have significant advantages. You'll spend a little bit of time up front. You have to load the specs or set up the preferred architecture per customer. It'll take a little time, saves you a whole lot of hours in the back end. So I have a use case example here to share with you all. Several years ago, we had a team of engineers, probably around 12 or so, and their role was to plan and draft all the high-level preliminary designs, a very, very time-consuming manual effort. So we went ahead and invested in a high-level design automated tool. There was a little bit less than a week of setup. It saved us thousands of hours each month, and we gained about a 90% efficiency. So now, same team, same people, their job now is to validate the routes, completely auto-generated, and they can do this in a single day. So the result of that, more accurate design, no more missing addresses, consistency in the design standards, and a much faster delivery to the customer. And as an added bonus, we accelerated our permitting and our low-level design schedule. So at this point, you should be handing off your preliminary design to be drafted in the customer preferred software. Then at your low-level design phase, you're creating all your final deliverables, BOMs, splicing documents, everything for your final design plans. And you're ready to prepare and deliver a construction package. Please take note, if you're a good technical partner to your customer, you should be designing your routes in the most practical way with construction in mind. This will provide an efficient, cost-conscious design, allowing you to be a good partner to the construction teams. So as you're navigating this design process, make sure you take some time to review any geological data, as well as information from other existing utilities. Incorporating these related GIS data sets ensures that your construction and your permitting packages have all the essential data. And automation tools and scripts can be applied at all phases of design, and you should do this whenever possible. A little earlier, I touched on some high-level design automated tools, but there's many other opportunities to apply scripting to other phases of design. For example, you can apply automated QC tools for the various deliverables you have to create per project area. And scripts can be used for any type of repetitive task, and this will ensure consistency in your deliverables. And there's a lot of opportunity to support our clients by having our GIS and our data tools speak directly to their project management and their budget platforms. Now let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into permitting. As I mentioned before, you should be starting as soon as your high-level design is approved. Here's a good tip. Group your polls by owner or agency. This will cut your admin time by nearly a half. And also, identify permits with long leads. Your bridge crossings, or railroads, highways, canals, start these first. These take a while. And highlight any challenges with right-of-way or PUE. Pin these down early. And by the time you get to this stage, your permitting team will have already researched the requirements with the respective permit authorities. Or better yet, your team could be researching these requirements prior to even submitting your RFP. And permitting applications will vary by project areas or states or wherever you are, but automation can almost always be applied here. Our automation tools will auto-populate permit applications directly from our GIS data. This eliminates all errors on manual entry. One last important note on permitting. Once all your permits are submitted, you should consider employing a small team of coordinators for follow-up. Navigating each permit timelines. Have them work in the phones, Stay on top of pending permits, keep them moving until it's approved. Well worth the investment, and this will prevent or minimize delays to the construction team. So now let's get into some best practices and KPIs for each of these phases. I'll start again with site surveys. So workforce quality. If you're evaluating your own internal team, or if you're using a subcontractor, you're looking for expertise in the telecommunications field. So specifically in fiber network construction. You want proven experience in similar projects, whether it's urban or rural or mixed environments. You can ask for case studies, client references, but just make sure you ensure that your surveyors are trained in the relevant areas like GIS mapping, right-of-way assessments, or utility coordination. And then automation tools. Evaluate their capability to generate accurate data for precise route planning. The type of survey equipment they're using is important. Do they have access to modern tools like LiDAR, drones, or GPS systems? And can your surveyors deliver data compatible with the software you're using in your design workflows? Of course, accuracy and reliability. This data precision is important. You want to evaluate their ability to deliver highly accurate data to avoid costly design revisions. Attention to detail is important. Your surveyors should be capturing and documenting potential obstacles, kind of like existing utilities or maybe terrain challenges or things like that. And on cost and time management, I'm looking for competitive pricing, reasonable pricing that'll align with our project budget. Value for your money is important. Look for a balance between cost and quality. It's not always wise to go with the lowest bidder. And I want detailed proposals. I want a clear breakdown of costs and the deliverables. And for risk management, safety is important. We want commitment to safety. This can avoid costly violations. They should be following the national and local safety guidelines and codes. Are they using personal protective equipment? And are they following the traffic management protocols? They should have IDs, branded clothing, decals on their vehicles, because this will easily identify themselves and give some confidence back to the community. Speaking of risk management, Jeff, that reminds me of that story you told me about that back alley incident. Can you, would you share that with the crowd real quick?
So you'll appreciate, and I think each of us can, the stories from our past, the experiences we share, the unusual experiences, and this is one of those. As Mickey and I were putting this together, we were reflecting on our shared experience being in the field, and this story came up. So happy to share. In this situation, I was working with a team in, we'll leave it as an unnamed East Coast city, a large city. And I had one of the crew working in between a couple of row houses, a pretty dense situation, and doing some ground level inspection of existing infrastructure. The member of the crew that we were working with, he didn't notice at the time, but a second story window opened while he was doing his work. And what he did notice, though, that there were some sort of objects began dropping or falling on him from above. And at first he didn't really pay attention, but one of these objects bounced off his hat and landed on the ground next to his feet. And it kind of reflected in the sunlight. And that helped him to recognize what it was that was landing on him, jump back shocked because it was unspent rounds that were being tossed out of the window above. Well, I mean, this is pretty startling. And while he's trying to figure out what's going on, a voice comes out of the window that says, "You better not be disconnecting my service." Well, in this case, he's properly badged, wearing high visibility vest, fortunately had a hard hat on, and was able to diffuse the situation, help this this resident recognized there was no risk to his connection. And frankly, I think it was a situation that, while we can nervously laugh about it now, it was a good reminder that we always want to be alert, respect the space we're in, definitely don't underestimate the importance of protective equipment. As always, the rule here is awareness and safety go hand in hand with the technical side of our work.
Thanks for sharing, Jeff. Okay, let's dive into some KPIs and best practices for the design phase. So design efficiency, this is what I'm measuring. Is my team consistently meeting the project deadlines without compromising on quality? Are the project managers using the resources wisely? What's the mix, self-perform versus outsourcing? Are we using cost-effective solutions? And of course, quality control and accuracy. What's my percentage of reworks? Remember, unbillable time cuts into your profit margins. And flexibility. I want my team agile and well-rounded. I should be able to insert any member into any part of the process of this project. And they need to identify and account for existing utilities, terrain challenges, right-of-way constraints. And I want them providing regular updates, both internally and to the client, on things like project status, timelines. Are they having any challenges? Do we have the right amount of resources for each project? And I want them working closely with the survey teams, the permitting agencies, and the construction crews to ensure alignment and no future surprises. And automation tools and technology, can't stress this enough. Use automation tools. This drastically cuts down on revisions and human errors. I'm looking for utilization of tools anywhere in the process that will shorten my design cycles and boost productivity. And for permitting KPIs and best practices, efficiency metrics here, I'm looking for a team that can prepare and submit permits quickly to prevent project delays. They should be proficient in tracking and monitoring the status of submitted applications and follow up on the approvals. And you'll want to minimize application fees and resubmissions. Regulatory knowledge is a bonus here. You can avoid penalties, understand compliance with all regulations to avoid additional costs or delays. Your permitting team must be familiar with all permitting authority requirements. Right-of-way or public utility easement expertise is critical. You'll want experience establishing easements where they don't exist. And collaboration with other teams. Highly recommend that your permitting team coordinate with both the network design team and the construction teams, because you may need to adapt your design and permits to unforeseen conditions. But be ready to adjust for changes, because this happens. You'll need flexibility to adjust to changes in design or maybe field conditions. And tools and technology, same as before with all the other phases. Apply automation where you can in the permitting process. Permit applications will vary, but most of them are extremely repetitive. Create automation tools that'll auto-populate your permitting applications. And one last note here I want to point out. When you're building your permitting team, you should be promoting above average communication skills, because developing relationships with the various permitting authorities will enable you to secure permits with minimal delays. Okay, now let's talk about some resource management. And to stay relevant in a competitive environment, you should consider finding a resource mix that works for your organization. The right balance of in-house staff, some offshore support, onshore subs, these are all critical to manage the ebbs and flows of our telecommunication industry. So let's talk about why so many organizations choose to outsource their fiber design work and why it makes a lot of sense. Well, first of all, scaling up is fast and easy. Instead of spending months hiring and onboarding, you can bring on an experienced team almost instantly or overnight. without the long-term commitment of adding full-time employees to your payroll. Then there's the cost factor. Building an in-house team can be expensive. You have hiring costs, training costs, software, equipment. This can all add up fast. So outsourcing will flip that model. You only pay for what you need when you need it. It's sort of a pay-as-you-go type of model, and it helps you control your capital expenses. Here's another big win, budget predictability. Because most offshoring companies will come with a fixed or a project-based pricing, so you know what to expect financially, no surprises at the end. But let's talk about expertise. These firms aren't just extra hands, they're specialists. They've done this before. They know fiber, they know GIS, they know permitting, standard, survey. And because this is their core business, they'll come equipped with top tools like LiDAR or advanced design software, or sometimes even automated permitting systems. Trying to build and maintain all that in-house, that can get costly fast. So bottom line, outsourcing gives you a faster turnaround, much better accuracy, and a lot less stress on your internal teams. You can apply some performance metrics. Contracts with outsourcing firms typically will include KPIs, such as on-time delivery, accuracies, rework rates, things like that. And many external firms have dedicated quality control teams, which will ensure that your deliverables meet your customer standards. But there are some cons. So you can have misaligned SLAs that can occur. You have some time zone differences. There's usually some data security risks with your IT team. You can experience some loss of control over the process, higher dependency on some external providers. But what's your mitigation here? Smart selection of design partners. Think of them as your extended team. Take the time you need to train and develop and build a partnership, but hold them accountable. This can take patience, but the payoff is well worth it. So, to recap, we have a 4-pillar framework of survey, design, permitting, and delivery, all backed by clear KPIs, peer reviews, and lots of automation. So a couple takeaways for you. Institute automation tools in every phase and save time and potential delays. Invest in a good quality control program to catch issues up front and avoid delays. And remember, reworks equals unbillable time and reduces your profitability. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I'm sure most of my audience is already involved with FTTH projects. My intent here was to show you some best practices from Telecon, and maybe you saw something a little different than what you're doing today, and you can apply that to your process moving forward. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jeff for wrap up.
So before we take questions, I'd like to just take a moment to remind everyone that Telecon is looking forward to participating in Fiber Connect in Nashville next week. You'll find us at booth 301. We're a proud sponsor of the breakfast sessions, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So if you're attending, please enjoy that and also stop by and say hello at our booth. As we've seen throughout today's session, strong design sets the foundation, but I'd like to highlight that Telecon brings much more to the table. From the network design and permitting and dedicated locates to full-scale infrastructure builds and enterprise connectivity, we offer turnkey fiber deployment across North America. And we feel like this is what makes Telecon different, and it's our ability to integrate these services under a single roof, with the scale, agility, and field-proven expertise to deliver high-performance networks safely and on time. And if you're looking for a partner that knows how to navigate these complexities and deliver with discipline, we want to connect. Again, booth 301 at Fiber Connect, and I encourage you to drop by or frankly reach out directly to Mickey or myself. Whether you're just starting your journey in the fiber world or scaling up your projects, we're here to help make that happen correctly from the first step. And with that, let me hand it back to David to moderate our Q&A.
Absolutely. And we do have a number of questions in here, but first, thank you both. Appreciate it. And we do have a number of questions, so we'll jump right in. Let's see. So someone is asking, you mentioned it is beneficial to group polls by owner during the permitting phase. How does this cut your admin time in half?
So maybe I'll take this one, Mickey, if that's all right. So what we're looking for here is operational efficiency. And this is simply one step in many things that you can do to expedite the process. So very often we can group these applications and submit a single package. We can always standardize this process. And very often the poll owners will allow us, well, maybe not very often, but occasionally we can batch process these things. And this allows for that efficiency and elimination of repetitive work.
All right. Anything to add there, Mickey?
No, that's good.
All right. So someone else has asked, what criteria should be considered when selecting an outsourcing partner for fiber to the home design?
Yeah, good question here. And I could talk about outsourcing all day long, but in general, there's a lot of companies out there you can partner with, and they all vary in skill sets. If you have a task that's repetitive, step-by-step process, maybe a checklist, very black and white scope, there's partners out there that are equipped for that. Permitting is a good example of this type of task. But there are many that have very highly technical backgrounds or HFC knowledge, or they really know the fiber side of things. And these are the partners you want to work with for FTTH designs. Because sometimes during the process, there's technical decisions to be made, and experience there will matter. Over the years, I've partnered with several firms, and my experiences, they're all very trainable. We think of them as our extended team. Invest the time, because you have to train new members anyway. But the beauty here is that my experience is we'll train a core group, maybe 2 or 3 or maybe four people. And once they're up to speed, you pick up the phone and say, I need you to scale up. I need 12 more. Your training time's done. That core team will turn around and go train the others on their side. So it saves you a lot of time and cost. And I thought time zone differences was going to be a challenge up front, but because generally they're about 12 hours ahead of us. But I found this to be to our advantage, because you have design operating around the clock in some cases. So they're working while you're sleeping. And the team gets up, they log on, and there's work for them to QC. So that's just some major highlights here on outsourcing and the criteria we pick.
Great. Let's see here. What do you mean when you suggest pinning down early challenges with right-of-way and PUE? They're asking if you can expand upon that.
Yeah, let me take that one. Really, what we're trying to establish is the legally constructible path, right? And this requires some identification of right-of-way or a public utility easement, and coordination with those permitting authorities. And what we want to do is we want to confirm any constraints that might exist and clarify those in the process, so that the operation is timely, that avoids any unexpected delays or questions. Ultimately, you're going to have a construction team that's working with inspectors in the field, and we want to be sure that we're giving them a construction package that is aligned, that matches the permit applications, and meets the expectation of the permitting authority.
Great. Let's see here. In what ways does survey data processing enhance the design and permit workflows?
So there's kind of a follow-on from the previous question, but what we're looking for here is the highest quality data that we can get from the field. And fortunately for us, the tools and the resources that allow us to do this are getting better all the time. And so we're able to get very precise location information, running line information, and share that data in real time. And because this is all digital, it facilitates this automation process that Mickey was speaking about. And that integrates directly into the design process, the permit workflow process, reducing the manual work that often or historically has come with that kind of exercise. And it gives us the ability to have a high degree of confidence in the accuracy of the data. So really, what we're saying is that the better inputs, the better the outputs.
And you mentioned applying automation to design, and somebody has asked, what are some of the ways you are applying automation to design? Did you want to expand on that at all, Mickey?
Yeah, Jeff, I can take that. A bit of a broad question, but it kind of depends on the customer and the design software they're using. So some programs are open source. SpatialNet's a good example of this one. You can apply Python scripts, lots of other different types of tools that can just be loaded right in and you can run them. But some of our customers have closed APIs. And in that case, you're usually out of luck. But there's still opportunities in other parts, like your delivery package, for instance. A lot of these deliverables are built in Excel, or maybe they're a CAD output or anything like that. And you could script all that. Also, like QC type tools can be applied as well, and you can run it through all your deliverables and make sure they're consistent and there's no errors. Another thing we do too is your address lists that you receive aren't always accurate. So you can invest in like a USPS address data and use that as a cross-reference. You can compare to your source. You can compare to the address list handed to you by your customer, build some scripts, compare and show the deltas, and then you can go address those. But yeah, lots of different ways to apply automation throughout the whole life cycle of the process.
Great. Someone has asked, any software for service provisioning and inventory management?
Take that one. This is, maybe it's more a half step away from what we've been discussing here today, but look critical to operating the network. And ultimately, some of these provisioning and inventory management softwares, I'm thinking BSS, OSS type software, it needs to integrate all of these resources. So I'll just speak to my experience here a little bit. Optius is one that I'm familiar with, where their OSS model will, manage all, workflows. It'll manage inventories. It'll manage provisioning. But there are many others that do this as well, commercially available. Even some of the design tools we use, like Vetro, for example, can do inventory management, or Small World, or 3GIS, right? So all these have some of that functionality, but ultimately, I think where we sit, we're looking back towards the network operator and understanding they need to incorporate not just the network planning and design resources, the construction red lines and all that into their models, but they also need to incorporate additional components, even, for example, CRM data. And that kind of goes along with these provisioning exercises, giving them, a visibility in operational continuity. So I would say this question is a little bit more technical and requires a little bit more understanding about the network operator themselves and how they intend to manage their own operation.
All right. And yeah, so whoever provided that question, if you happen to be at Fiber Connect, you should stop by booth 301 and begin that conversation. But great question. Let's see here. Someone is asking, can ring topology be developed or implemented in fiber to the home networks?
I think this goes to a more basic design question, premise, but look, the answer is yes. What we're looking for is a redundancy, particularly in our F1 side of the network. And if we're in a municipal environment or even a campus environment, of course we need that redundancy, and so we're going to look for developing a ring into the architecture that we're deploying, right? But if we're carrier grade or at that level, we've got to have this sort of self-healing functionality that comes with the redundancy of a ring. And while this can add a bit of cost and complexity, I think the necessary uptime requirements that we have with these networks, it's a factor that we have to include and incorporate into the process.
All right. Continuing along those with similar, just technical design questions. Somebody's asking, how do you decide between microduct and air-blown fiber versus a traditional design?
So maybe I'll frame this as, air-blown fiber versus a more traditional fiber methodology. Look, some core things to think about when you're determining what to use in terms of the fiber type and resources that are now available on the market. Ultimately, I would say from an air-blown perspective, you're looking at more segmented type builds or expansion type builds where you can put the level of fiber in that you need at the time, right? Without over-investing. And so maybe that's better for your financial model to feed what you need today, but have capacity to expand in the future. And I think some of the other, there are certain environments where this works well, urban and brownfield scenarios, for example. But I think the traditional sort of, cable infrastructure, that fits really well in the rural long haul environments. We kind of know what we need in those situations, and we know going in, and so we can anticipate the costs related to those things up front and build that into the model. So equally good. I think it's application specific.
So this one's interesting. I'm not sure about the phrasing, but somebody's saying, how should I or what should I do to join utilities and the telecommunications industry?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think what I see and maybe recognized implied in the question is that there are a lot of opportunities right now. And frankly, in some areas of our industry, there's a shortage of skilled labor. And I think as a starting point to navigating a way into the industry, I would point to some of the resources available from Fiber Broadband Association and other industry groups that have details about training and connecting you with resources to develop those skills and engage the market. One of the things we do at Telecon, for example, is over the summer months, we have a program where we bring interns in to familiarize themselves with the opportunities in the industry. We get the advantage of supplementing our workforce, and often it's students in these cases have opportunity to learn something about the real world environment of telecommunications. So I think there are many paths here, but developing those skills are the critical things.
All right. Anything to add there, Mickey?
Nope, that was good.
So we have one here: when determining design schedule versus construction completion date, how often is permitting timelines and build schedule taken into consideration for IFC deliverables to field construction teams? Is the PMO consulted? Do you want me to read that one back again?
Well, let me just start. If you think I missed something, then prompt me, David. But we use a project management model at Telecon that I think is implied in the question. So I think the final phrase there was, how, when, and where is the PMO consulted? I think from our perspective, the PMO is sort of managing the process from start to finish. And so what we've got is a process where there's oversight all along the way. And frankly, the nature of delays that we all experience from the permitting process highlights that there has to be close collaboration all along the way, right? We need to anticipate some of the things with the permitting authorities early in the process, but from a design perspective, we need to be consulting with the network operator, the construction team, the folks that will be executing, and frankly, the folks that are navigating the relationship with these authorities all along the way. So we'll typically build touch points throughout the process that give us an opportunity to look at the progress we've made, reflect on whether it's driving the results we need, and then reset our plan or our expectations of the process.
All right. Well, looking through, I think we've covered the bulk of them here. If we did not get to your question, please do reach out to Telecon. You can contact both Mickey and Jeff. Their emails are there in the speaker tool, which is located there on the screen. And you'll also be prompted to reach out to them as well at the end of today's webinar. So once again, just to quickly let everybody know once again, in case you missed it, we do have Fiber Connect coming up here next week. We're all very excited, starting kick off this Sunday. So if you're planning to be there, we look forward to seeing you. Definitely reach out to Telecon. They are at booth 301, and you can find them there. And we appreciate their sponsorship of the breakfast as well. And if you're not familiar with Fiber Connect or you're not registered yet, there is still time. You can go out now. That's in Nashville next week, and June 1st through 4th, and we'll be at the Gaylord once again. And we promise this is going to be a great show. We have lots of exciting things planned. So definitely, if you're not registered yet, but you want to attend, we look forward to seeing you there. Looking beyond Fiber Connect, we are well into our regional fiber workshop season. We were in Philly and a few other places earlier in the year, but next up, we're excited to be going up north to Alaska. We'll be in Anchorage on July 17th, and then visiting our friends in the north here in Toronto on August 19th. And later in the year, we'll be in Spokane, Washington in September, Scottsdale, Arizona in October, and finally wrapping up the series in Kansas City, Missouri on November 11th. So if you're in those areas, definitely participate in these shows. Come by and see us. They're more intimate than our big show next week, but great networking opportunities, great to work with people in your region and hear from like minds and share ideas and best practices. So definitely look forward to seeing people at the regional Fiber Connects. And another just a quick plug here for FBA. If you're not familiar with our FBA Optic Path program, this is our program to train and certify future fiber technicians. Certainly, we're very excited about this program. And if it's something you're interested in supporting, maybe even volunteering or teaching, reach out to us. You can follow the QR code there. There's a lot of resources available in that resource tool, both from Telecon, and also you'll find a link to get more information about our Optic Path program here at FBA. And lastly, I just want to remind everybody we have lots of webinars, so go out to our website. You can find them under the events tab, along with our Fiber for Breakfast, which is our weekly series with Gary Bolton and industry leaders every week, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. We spoke this morning with Philadelphia OIT about their implementation of broadband. So always exciting conversations, so definitely tune into those, and you can subscribe to all of those. A few things just as we wrap up here. Like I mentioned, we do have a lot of resources in the tool there on the side of your screen. That includes a number of videos and different documentation from Telecon on their various services. Certainly download those. You can also find those in the follow-up email, which will go out either tomorrow or Friday. And with that, I just want to once again thank Jeff and Mickey. This was fantastic. Excited to see you next week. Please do reach out to the team here. You've got their email addresses in the speaker tool. Certainly would love to hear from you and continue these conversations. So with that, thank you everybody for attending, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks.
Thank you.